To be honest, it's all about your intentions, especially your motives behind them. We need to understand that each and every day of our lives, whatever sort of action, decision, or behavior that you do or make on a day to day basis will always have an intention and a motive behind it, especially whether you think it does not. It just automatically does. And the intention behind something is like your reason as to why you're doing something, your purpose as to why you want to act in a certain type of way or do things in a certain type of way. And your motives behind something is your why. Why is it that you want to do this? Because it always starts from your motives, then it goes to your intentions, then it goes to your actions, then your behaviors, and then your decisions that you make, and then the decisions that you make. But we need to understand that the key difference into understanding someone's intentions and someone's motives towards a certain type of action, behavior, decision that they make and do is their heart posture. Because to be honest, God really doesn't consider actions alone. What he really considers and what he really weighs in his eyes, in his perspective, is the motives and the intentions behind we act a certain type of way or we behave in a certain type of way. Because at the end of the day, God is all knowing, God is all powerful, God is all knowledgeable. So you can't hide anything from God, good or bad, because He literally created you. He literally knows your heart more than you know your heart. That's why even Jeremiah, the book of Jeremiah says that the heart is deceitful. Our heart is always changing. Our heart is always wanting to do what thinks it's best for us. But sometimes what we actually think is best for us may not actually be best for us. That's why we normally have God and His laws to help us to change our heart posture so that it can align to actually be true, to be intentional, to be genuine, and to be real. That's a fact. So, like I said, God really doesn't look at the actions alone, but He looks at the heart. And the perfect example is like, let's say like you decide to do something charitable, like you decide to help out, volunteer in something, like you decide to donate money in to do something. But if your intention, if your motive, if your heart posture behind you doing something is not aligned to something which is true, is not aligned to something which is real, is not aligned to something which is genuine, then that means you're literally lying to yourself. Like if you're just putting if you're just doing charitable things, if you're just doing good for the sake to be seen, then that means your heart posture is not in the right place. But if you're doing charitable things in secret, which God really loves, then that means that you're actually doing something from a right heart posture. And that means you're actually doing something from a genuine point of view. Why? Because you know that you're not doing this to please people. You're simply doing this to please God in order to serve people, in order for His glory to be, in order for His glory like to be made known. That's why Jesus really had a problem with the Pharisees and the scribes, because what they were doing wasn't bad. They were praying in public, they were helping people, they were doing lengthy prayers and all that. But their heart behind it, their intention and their motive behind it was for human glory. It wasn't for God's glory. And that's something that God really hates. That's why God says that it's better for you to pray in your closet, in your secret place, where He can only see you, and then He's going to personally reward you. Because at the end of the day, if you just do things to be seen by man, if you just do things to be seen by people, to please people, then you have already received your reward, as the Bible says, which is of human glory. But if you do things in secret, if you do things like, even though people even misunderstand you, yet you know that the reason as to why you're doing this is because either God has told you to do it, or you just want to do it out from a good heart posture, out from a intentional heart, out from a genuine point of view, then your reward from God will actually be something eternal, will actually be something grateful. And even as small as pursuing your dreams, pursuing your career, um, even as small as even going to approach someone who you like find attractive. If their intention and your motives behind you going to approach someone who is attractive is not aligned to what is true, what is real, what is pure, then at the end of the day, what you will actually do is actually approach them from you'll actually approach them from a selfish point of view. Like you'll either approach them to either want to sleep with them, you'll either approach them just because you want to be seen by them. But if you approach them because you actually really want to get to know this person, to see if like you and this person can be friends, if you and this person can be in a relationship, then that means your heart is pure and that means your heart is true. And that is the most beautiful thing about someone being intentional. If you are being intentional towards anything that you're doing, whether it is you're pursuing your dreams, pursuing your career, pursuing even someone, or even just helping out, if your intentions are actually pure, holy, true, and genuine, I promise you, whatever you will attract will be pure, genuine, holy, and true. Because whatever you give towards the universe, it will give you back. Especially if your energy towards giving, which is now your motive towards giving, which is now the desire towards you giving, is pure, bro. Like everything that will come to you will just be pure. That's why we all know the saying. We all know the saying. You will end up attracting who you are, and you'll actually end up attracting what you truly desire if your desires are actually pure, holy, true, genuine, and real. So that's the most freeing thing about you actually being very intentional with a pure mindset, with a pure motive, with pure intentions. That's the most genuine thing. Because that's the most beautiful thing, because if your intentions towards what you do is just going to be something that is not selfish, but something that is selfless, out of love, basically, bro, like what you'll get back is going to be love. It may not be the love that you think, but it will be the love that you will actually need. And the last and final thing we need to understand about intentions is that if someone has pure intentions towards life that are true and that are real and that are genuine, their approach towards life and their approach towards anyone in general that they encounter in life will not be forced. It will just be out of something that is honest. It will be out of something that is authentic. Because your intentions don't have to be perfect, but they have to be honest. And if your intentions towards yourself are honest, and if your intentions towards yourself are true, are real and genuine, that's the type of energy we'll put out there. And people will be attracted to that. Why? Because as much as people actually don't like being told the truth, and as much as people don't like being told what is real, they still desire people who are real in their life. They still desire people who are intentional, and they still desire people who are genuine. Why? Because in this world we are surrounded by fakeness, and people whose intentions are actually real, people whose intentions are actually true, are actually pure, are actually holy, are actually genuine, are actually honest. They actually do not need validation from people. They do not need to surround themselves with people in order for them to like feel something good about themselves, because people with true intentions, they will actually prefer being alone as long as they are true to themselves than being fake and be surrounded by many people. And that's something that is actually very true, and people can actually sense such an energy. People can actually sense realness. People can sense intentionality. People can sense genuineness towards someone. Why? Because it's truth. Because at the end of the day, we are truth, because we are created in the image and likeness of God, and God is a God of truth. And if we emit an energy that is true, if we emit an energy that is real, that is genuine, that is honest, people will be able to dictate that. People will be able to not dictate, but what's that name? Detect. Yes, people will be able to detect that, and they will be drawn to you. But now you, as the intentional person, you should be very aware of people approaching you with fakeness, people approaching you just because they want to like maybe hide their insecurities within you, or they just want to feel good about themselves. That's why intentional people, people who are true, people who are real, people who are genuine towards themselves, people whose motives towards the approach in life is of clarity, they are able to know where to prioritize their energy towards. They are able to know where they want to emit their energy and where they shouldn't emit their energy, because they know that there's a specific person or there's a specific place that deserves my energy. But they are also able to discern that there's a specific place and there's a specific person who doesn't deserve my energy. So if you think about it, it's even the start of the year. Ask yourself, what are your intentions towards yourself in general in life? What are your intentions towards your goals, your dreams, towards your approaches in life, towards your pursuits in life? What are your intentions? And if you actually are able to, oh, and there's one thing I forgot to say. Intentional people, they are able to know whether their intentions are actually not intentional. And the moment they detect this, they are able to step back and realign themselves to what is true. Personally, to me, I believe that truth is Christ. So, whenever I feel like my intentions are not true, I realign myself to the Word of God, who is Christ, who is truth. So, that's something that I believe that we should actually be doing. Realign yourself to truth, but the moment you know that you have come to the realization that you are intentional within yourself. So, like I've said, what are your intentions behind your pursuits, to behind your approaches in life in 2026? What are your dreams, your goals? What are your approaches towards anything that you want to do, not even in 2026, but even in 5 and 10 years from now? If your intentions are true, well and good. If they aren't, step back and realign yourself to truth. Bless.